session on the new monasticism. We have said for a long time that we are a new monastic community, and we thought when we decided on the theme this year that it was probably time that we tried to unpack what that means to us. We have been growing in our understanding for a long time now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do the bulk of the teaching sessions, which will mostly be about my own journey in the new monasticism, which will connect with a number of themes, movements and ideas that are out there. But we also want this to be very interactive, so we want to hear from everybody your experiences in exploring the new monasticism, however long that has been or however new that is. The different sessions tonight, I'm going to talk a little bit about traditional monasticism. If there is a new monasticism, there must have been an old monasticism, right? So we're going to have a look at that. Tomorrow morning we're going to look at what the new monasticism is, and then tomorrow evening Larry and Sue and Scott are going to share their experiences of different monastic communities, both in the Christian tradition but also in the Buddhist tradition and wider, and then we'll have a lot of opportunity tomorrow night for everybody to share what their experience has been. Then on Sunday morning we're going to talk about what is distinctive about the Lindisfarne community. What is it that we bring to the table of discussions about new monasticism? And then Jane is also doing an optional session about women in the new monasticism, and she's going to look particularly at the forgotten desert mothers. Until quite recently we talked a lot about the desert fathers, and scholars are now uncovering a whole tradition of desert mothers in the beginning of monasticism. So let's begin then this evening with a look at some ideas related to traditional monasticism. Now, we've brought a pile of books. I brought a lot, and Scott has also brought some. They're on tables over there. These are not for you to steal. I have a policy that I really think I should never lend books to students, and I always give in, and I lose more books than is believable to students who say, Professor, I'll bring it back, I promise. If it comes back in pieces or tatters. So these books are just for you to look at, to make a note about, and then to go and spend your money. So I'm going to mention some tonight relating to traditional monasticism. Let me begin with one of the sayings of Saint Augustine of Hippo, who said something similar to, "Our hearts are restless until they find their rest in you." Our hearts are restless till they find their rest in you. And it seems to be part of the human condition that there is about all of us a restlessness. And this restlessness is a seeking for the divine, even if we don't know what the divine is. It's a searching for some kind of fulfillment. It's a looking for the other who will complete us. There are interesting myths retold in Plato of that each human being is looking for the other that will complete them, and we have often taken that to be in a kind of romantic connection. You know, you're looking for your other half, this kind of thing. but not necessarily so. And in the most profound understandings of erotic love, the erotic is not merely about romantic relationships, but is actually the relationship with the Supreme Other, with the divine, in the divine romance, sometimes called. This restlessness is also looking for enlightenment, and the theme of seeking to be enlightened is found in all the traditions. And there'll be a refrain that I'll be making, and I'm sure others will make, that what we're talking about occurs again and again and again in the very many great traditions of the world. But how do we do it? How do we pursue this seeking for, this longing, this looking for this completion? Well, for some time now, we have been urged to look to the ancient paths. In the ancient paths is where we often find wisdom. And monasticism, in its various forms, it's Christian, it's Buddhist, it's Hindu, it's Taoist forms, is an ancient path. And when we start to look at this ancient path and we start to garner the wisdom from the ages, then I think we find it has something actually to say to our present condition. Now, when I say we're looking at the ancient paths, it's not a kind of romantic, we want to become as they were in the 4th century. We're videoing this talk on a fairly high-tech, modern, tiny little video camera. I'm reading my notes off an iPad 2. So we're not Luddites, so to speak. But there is a great deal of wisdom in the ancient ways that we're trying to tap into. Now, monasticism is not limited to Christianity. It seems that in all of the great religious and philosophical traditions, there is some form of monasticism, even those traditions that are not directly religious. For instance, Stoic traditions. There are many stories of finding what appears to be very similar to religious forms of monasticism, where philosophers would gather together and would think together and would live together in community. But in all of its expressions, it seems that monasticism has been in part a protest, and it's been a protest at the degeneration of established religion. That religions, in the nature of what they are, tend to routinize and bureaucratize and institutionalize, and those initial ideas and fervor for this spiritual connectedness get lost in the bureaucratization and the institutionalization of religion. And a movement arises that says actually what we need to do is protest against this institutionalization, corporatization, and we need to seek again the deep spiritual wells. So monasticism in all of its expressions is in part protest.